As Xiaoye transformed into a fireball, his gigantic form launched a surprise attack through the air. He instantly shattered the 4 sacred mountain abyss summons that were in the air. With a dragon roar, Xiaoye suddenly spread his wings, and the powerful gust instantly dispersed all those attacks. Although the sacred mountain abyss summons attacks fell on Xiaoye, they did not cause him any damage. Due to Xiaoye's black dragon skin passive, the damage of all attacks that hit him would be reduced by 10%. Xiaoye, lava blaze! At Lu Fan's command, Xiaoye immediately unleashed his dragon breath. In an instant, flames and magma mingled together from Xiaoye's mouth, gushing out like an erupting volcano from above. Moreover, the temperature of Xiaoye's dragon breath was definitely higher than any volcano. How could the sacred mountain abyss summoners withstand such a powerful dragon breath? The few sacred mountain abyss summoners with high agility attributes barely survived. Even so, most of them were covered by Xiaoye's lava flames, which instantly turned to ashes. Just one lava flame had killed more than half of Jin Chenghan's sacred mountain abyss summoners. Jin Chenghan had even forgotten to wave his staff to cast a buff on his summoners. Firstly, because he was too shocked by the power of Lu Fan's pet dragon, and secondly, because he knew that facing such a huge power gap, any buffs he cast would not matter. Lu Fan, who was riding on Xiaoye, did not continue his attack. Instead, he looked at Jin Chenghan with a light smile and continued to mock him. Why aren't you summoning more sacred mountain abyss summoners? Can you stop summoning these little guys and hurry up? Summon something that can match my pet dragon. Jin Chenghan almost coughed up blood. Can't you see that I've already summoned my most powerful sacred mountain abyss summoner? You can clearly tell, and yet you still want to say this. Stop mocking me, you bastard! Despite his intense hatred, Jin Chenghan was helpless in front of Lu Fan. The strength of Lu Fan and his pet dragon was far beyond Jin Chenghan's imagination. Even though they had received the ancient god essence, the power gap between them was still too great. However, at this moment, an annoyed cold snort escaped. Saying Jin over and over again while imitating my way of speaking, "You really don't take me seriously, do you?" Musashi Ten rose up into the air, descending from above. Originally, he had agreed with Jin Chenghan that he would settle his feud with Lu Fan, and he wouldn't need to intervene. But now, when Jin Chenghan clearly couldn't compete with Lu Fan, he naturally couldn't wait to lose. In other words, there was really no difference between Lu Fan and Xiaoye. Lu Fan also had the Black Dragon King's skin passive. Musashi Ten tried to quickly escape, but it was too late. Lu Fan did not try to finish off Musashi Ten with a second blow. Instead, he smiled and said, "I'm not taking you seriously. To be honest, I don't take your entire country seriously. You ... Musashi Ten's face showed both anger and fear. At this point, Xiaoye's lava blaze had killed all of Jin Chenghan's sacred mountain abyss summoners. He had proudly withdrawn his dragon breath, snorting a flame from his nostrils. However, when it came to actually fighting, they were instantly suppressed. It wasn't that they were too weak, but that Lu Fan was too powerful. Musashi wondered, how could this black dragon, who was still only level 30-something, be so incredibly powerful? Musashi Ten and Jin Chenghan both knew that they couldn't do anything against Lu Fan. Lu Fan then turned his gaze to Charles. At this moment, Charles's expression was no longer as calm as before, because Lu Fan's strength had indeed far exceeded his expectations. Lu Fan smiled at Charles and said, "How generous are you? I promised Musashi Ten and Jin Chenghan that you would give them my points after you defeat me." After hearing Lu Fan's words, Jin Chenghan was silent for a few seconds and then said, "You arrogant man, you will pay the price for your ignorance." After this, Charles held the cross with both hands, and as he walked forward, clouds rose behind him. Flapping his wings, Charles rose into the air, simultaneously swinging the cross in his hands to attack Lu Fan from above. Golden light flashed from the cross. A huge cross shape appeared in the air. Its form was particularly terrifying. This blow clearly showed why Charles was considered a T0, one of his own kind among other representatives. Even Musashi Ten's earlier skills were not even half as powerful as this blow of Charles. The golden cross was intimidating, causing Lu Fan to take things more seriously. Lu Fan gathered power in his right hand, then slashed with his sword, generating an even bigger sword chi than before, which collided with Charles's attack. With a loud boom, Lu Fan and Xiao Ye stood still, but Charles was pushed back nearly 100 meters. In this clash of skills, due to Xiao Ye's attribute increase, Charles could not even match Lu Fan. That's it? Lu Fan felt the power of Charles's attack and made a rough assessment of his power attribute. He is indeed strong, but compared to my current qualities, it's not much. After Lu Fan casually retreated, Charles's expression became more serious. He did not rush to attack again, but took off a necklace from his neck. The necklace contained a silver cross, which Lu Fan had not noticed before. When Charles took off the cross, Lu Fan took a closer look at this device and found that it indeed had the aura of an ancient god. Just when Lu Fan was wondering if this device was given by an ancient god, he suddenly saw Charles crush the cross. When the cross broke, dazzling golden light burst out of it, and Charles fell back. This golden light flew upward and stopped, then spread out to form a huge heavenly gate. The golden light within the gate was flickering, accompanied by the sounds of terrifying chanting, reciting some scriptures. Soon, a holy figure emerged. This being was radiating golden light. It resembled an angel. However, since it was wrapped in golden light, its appearance and attire could not be seen clearly. All that could be seen were the 2 holy light swords held in its hands and the 12 pairs of wings on its back, which were similar to the legendary angels. However, Lu Fan felt from its aura that it must be what they called the projection of the holy mountain ancient god. This projection had power that Charles was not qualified to receive at all. Even Lu Fan felt pressured by it. Of course, that was all. After all, it was not the ancient god. The pressure this ancient god projection exerted on Lu Fan was not even as strong as the Hell Demon. It was just a little bit stronger than the Demon General. Yet, for Xiao Ye, this was an opponent to be taken seriously. Moreover, this ancient god projection could probably only be used once, as defeat was disastrous for Charles. Charles had played one of his trump cards, which Lu Fan found extremely disgusting. He asked with a cold nose, "We agreed not to use our ancient god power, yet you summoned an ancient god projection. Aren't you going back on your words?" Charles's expression remained unchanged as he said, "When I spoke of ancient god power, I meant ancient god essence. This ancient god projection is an equipment skill. Why shouldn't I use it?" Such sophistication made Lu Fan laugh. "It seems that your Star-Stripe country has become closer to extremist country over the past few years. I guess you've adopted their shamelessness. Well, never mind. If you're too weak, it's nothing." With that, Lu Fan gave a command through his spiritual connection, and Xiao Ye immediately understood. He finally used his second charge of Void Break, targeting the Sacred Mountain Ancient God projection, applying his Dragon Jaw Strike skill. With the simultaneous use of both skills, Xiao Ye's charge had massive destructive power. In an instant, his huge body crossed the sky and collided with the ancient god projection's body. The ancient god projection was truly powerful. Facing this attack, Musashi Ten also appears at the same time and starts a sword fight with Lu Fan. Musashi Ten fights sword with Lu Fan and also orders to use the power of Flame of Divine Punishment, which releases the Holy Priest's Holy Flame. The Holy Flame inflicts 500% holy damage on the target and deals 20% damage every second for the next 10 seconds. Lu Fan was now falling into their trap on his own will. Everyone talks and cheers, and Charles says, "Without the support of the dragon pet, Lu Fan is nothing. He can't do anything." Musashi Ten cheers and says yes, We have fought equally with Lu Fan. Charles also says that as long as we keep him away from his pet dragon, his strength will definitely decrease. Lu Fan appears in front of him and says, I already knew your thoughts. I only pretended to be trapped to go along with your plans and distract you. Jin Changhan appears in front of him once again and says, So you think you can defeat me with these fallen corpse puppets? Lu Fan smiles and points out, Number. Lu Fan actually opened a portal from which he summoned an entire army of fallen corpse puppets. Well, that's just a few. His appearance. They wondered, how is this possible? How did Lu Fan gain so much power in such a short time? Charles had only one question in his mind. Has he really subdued the demons of the 9 realms? Charles was unable to bear the pressure of the 9 world monster. His condition was gradually getting worse. Lu Fan smiles calmly and says, Well, tell me, Charles, who do you think will win now? Charles glares at him and replies, No matter how many corpse puppets you summon, you'll never defeat me. He then grabs his cross and prepares to attack, and then uses the power of Sanctuary at the same time. The main feature of this power is that as soon as Divine is applied, it applies Divine, Agility and Divine Will to all units within range, increasing their offensive power and speed, defense, and spirit by 100% for 60 seconds. As Charles activates his power, his eyes glow brightly and he lets out a deep scream. The next moment, a massive explosion occurs, scattering the entire Hell Demon army. Then, with the Phantom Ripper Slash, he unleashes a high-speed power. He spins through the air and releases a sharp blade of wind that rips through enemies, ripping them apart and causing physical damage. This powerful attack not only destroys enemies, but also freezes them completely. Now both Charles and Masashi Ten were free from the 9 region demons. Charles stared at Lu Fan and said, the 9 region demons corrupted by corpse magic can't do much more than that. Do you really think you can defeat us so easily with the same move? Masashi Ten also supported him and said, Let me tell you, Lu Fan, after being baptized with the sacred mountain essence and empowered by Charles, we are no longer what you thought. We are now stronger than ever. There was a new determination in Lu Fan's eyes. He immediately revealed Xiaofei and said, At Lu Fan's command, Xiaofei transformed into emerald dragon form. And then Lu Fan said, Charles, do you really think that using buffs makes you invincible? At the same time, Xiao Ku's skill Spring of Life, Jade Shield, Jade Blessing, and Jade Light were all cast, flashing various enhancement effects around Lu Fan. With these skills cast on Lu Fan, his attributes became even more powerful. Apart from some defensive and offensive buffs, just look at his attributes. Level 6 Jade Light can increase attributes by 80%, which doubles to 160% on Lu Fan. Level 3 Soul Aegis can increase the target's attributes by 150%, which doubles to 300%. When put together, Lu Fan's attributes increased by more than 10 times. Lu Fan's attributes were already extremely high, and with so many enhancement buffs, he even directly surpassed Xiao Ye in his battle form. The title of Humanoid Tyrant Dragon was indeed appropriate for Lu Fan. Charles also felt a great deal of pressure from Lu Fan. When he saw that Lu Fan had summoned another pet dragon, which cast many skills and clung to Lu Fan's head, an extremely strong sense of uneasiness rose in his heart. Around Lu Fan, the Dragon Key attack and Dragon Key defense had begun to attack, but Lu Fan did not let go of them. Instantly, it seemed like the world had gone quiet. The next moment, something terrifying happened. With Lu Fan at the center, the ground began to shake and shatter. Streams of Dragon Ki burst out from beneath the ground. Within a radius of 5 kilometers, the earth was not only shaking violently, but also sinking at an incredible speed. It was no different from an apocalypse. It made one wonder if the entire earth would collapse and the world would be turned upside down. Charles could not escape either. After striking him with his giant cross, he could still stand firmly on the fractured ground. In comparison, Charles' previous attack, although impressive, was far inferior to Lu Fan's. Anyone could tell whether it was in terms of attributes or attack power, Lu Fan was far superior. If Charles fought Lu Fan now, there could only be one outcome: death! At that moment, Juji explodes. She is very angry. And then she immediately goes to the monster summoned by Chan Han and grabs both of its arms and breaks it in a matter of seconds, destroys it, and then immediately grabs its head in her mouth and kills it in the next moment. Jin Jin Khan is very shocked. He doesn't understand what is happening and says that this is impossible. The sacred mountain empowered by Charles is now truly lost. He is dead. Lu Fan looks at him and says, "Open your eyes, the real adventure has just begun." Lu Fan manifested the dragon domain at the same time. As he raised his hand, a sphere appeared above his hand, with lightning flashing around it, as if lightning was striking from the sky. This was the dragon domain. This domain was 10 meters wide, and its main feature was that all dragons and their bonded allies within it had their power increased by 50%, while non-dragon entities had their special abilities reduced by 50%. In addition, they were unable to move in or out of the domain, teleport, or summon anyone. Musashi, Ten, Charles, and everyone else were stunned to see this dragon domain. Their minds were incredulous. Is this really the dragon domain? They thought in shock. That's impossible. A level 30 player can't even use advanced domain skills. Charles' anger grew even more. He held his cross tightly and spoke in a serious tone. "So what if it's a domain? You are not beyond my power. I will break it no matter what." And then he uses the power of divine flame of vengeance at the same time. The holy priest releases holy flame on the target, causing 500% holy damage and divine burning for the next 10 seconds. As soon as he uses the power, fire appears all around. Lu Fan was now flying in the air with the help of dragon wings. And he says, "Come, let me show you the difference between us." Lu Fan immediately summons a very big eagle, which comes right below him and starts flying. The three get surprised, seeing that eagle. That brother, where did this eagle come from? Lu Fan had already guessed that if Jin Chengen and Musashi Ten came after him again, they would commit suicide after losing and run away to a safe place through Abyss Summoner's profession characteristics that allows revival. Despite the boost, my attack was neutralized by a normal counter. How is this possible? Charles is surprised. He says something is wrong. My attack power has become very weak. The power of the dragon domain makes everyone very weak. I feel very weak. Charles was very scared and said, "Hey, wait a minute. Only we have become weak. And these dragons, they are getting even stronger. This dragon domain suppresses enemies and empowers allies." All the beasts had come very close. Lu Fan thinks to himself that they will not die here. I have to do something else. Then suddenly a terrifying power appears. Charles shows a card in his hand and says, "I planned to spare your life, and gave you a chance to serve the ancient god of the holy mountain. But you did not listen to me. Now you must be prepared to suffer. As my puppet of the holy mountain, you will now be my puppet." And uses the power of endless holy light. Its feature is that it transmits the power of the ancient cow, inflicting continuous holy damage and trapping the target in light. After 5 seconds, the light explodes, deals 200% damage, and applies a limited holy mark that causes the target to lose a maximum of 5% HP per second. Then suddenly, light explodes and the ground shatters into pieces. Here in the observation room, Elder Han and everyone were watching this scene. Vice Principal Zhao was shocked and said, "Hey, old Han, can Lu Fan really become a puppet?" Old Khan was seriously thinking about this. Then suddenly we see Charles falling to the ground and he says, "How did this happen, or is it impossible? It can't be." Lu Fan used the power of the Eternal Protector, which creates a protective barrier that protects all targets from within. The barrier's ability matches the Eternal One's life force and reincarnation. Charles was shocked and said, "How could anyone survive a direct hit of ancient essence this time? Emerald Dragon Bloodline doubles all skill effects for dragons and their bonded allies." Lu Fan raised the sword in his hand at that time and said, "Charles, it seems that this was your last attack. Now it's my turn." Suddenly, GOG started moving towards them, roaring very fast. Seeing this, their condition became very bad. GOG was roaring so loudly that his ears started bursting. He was not able to bear that sound. All three people were shouting with their hands on their ears, "Wait, wait, our ears will burst." Jin Chang'an looks at Musashi and says, "Hey, immediately make an unfathomable contract with me. Even if we die, we will be resurrected in another place." But then a light comes. It cuts Musashi Ten, and he falls to the ground. Actually, this attack was from Lu Fan's sword, and he says very seriously, "Unfortunately, this time you will not be resurrected." Cheng Han is shocked to see Musashi Ten lying on the ground, but as he takes a closer look at him, he is horrified and says, "Now you will not be able to come back, my friend. You are dead now." and he now fully realizes that now he cannot be resurrected. Friends, this chapter ends here. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to watch the next chapter. This place was the dragon domain. Charles was shocked to be pulled into such a place. He could clearly feel that his attributes had been reduced by more than half due to the subtle pressure of this place. In contrast, Lu Fan and the Black Dragon felt like fish in water. All their attributes had clearly increased. This made the disparity between the two sides even greater. After recovering from his initial shock, Charles had to face the truth. At the end of the day, he really couldn't compete with Lu Fan. So, what difference did it make if their attribute difference increased even more in this mysterious place? Jing Qinghen looked at his hands and was extremely disappointed. He was unable to connect with his summoned beast. To the point he was puzzled as to how this was possible. Because by the time Jing Qinghen connected with his summoned beast, it would have revived, but now he was unable to do so. Seeing Charles' expression of acceptance, Lu Fan smiled. You think this skill only weakens your attributes. In fact, I'm very curious whether Jin Cheng'en can still be revived in my dragon domain. Now let's do an experiment. With that said, Lu Fan raised his flaming meteor sword and slashed down. The dragon ki on the blade exploded and hit Musashi Ten. Instantly, Musashi Ten's body shattered and disintegrated. At the same time, Lu Fan's points changed, absorbing all of Musashi Ten's points. Seeing this, Lu Fan's smile widened. It seems that Jin Cheng'en's skill can no longer save you. In that case, I can rest assured. Still, I have to thank you all. You came all this way just to give me points. Lu Fan raised his sword again, this time aiming at Jin Cheng'en. No, you can't kill us. Charles panicked. Although he was a sacred mountain slave, he still retained his consciousness. Therefore, his survival instinct remained, and he immediately tried to stop Lu Fan from attacking Jin Cheng'en. To become immortal here, Charles had naturally signed a contract with Jin Cheng'en when the latter became a sacred mountain slave, just like Musashi Ten. Originally, Jin Cheng'en had actually betrayed Musashi Ten. Their contract was not about sharing life and death, but rather if Jin Cheng'en dies, Musashi Ten will also die. But if Musashi Ten dies, Jin Cheng'en doesn't have to die with him. Jin Cheng'en might even have a chance to revive Musashi Ten by abyss summoning. Therefore, when Musashi Ten was killed by Lu Fan, Jin Cheng'en did not suffer any harm. But if Jin Cheng'en dies, Charles, who signed the same contract, will also be affected by the skill and die with Jin Cheng'en. What could Lu Fan care about? A sword strike came, killing Jin Cheng'en as well. When Jin Cheng'en died, strange forces surely surged in Charles' body, trying to tear his body apart. Charles' survival instinct was too strong. Enduring the intense pain, he let out a low roar, and golden light flashed in his body. He must have used a skill to forcibly end the contract between himself and Jin Cheng'en. At the same time, this skill also nullified all debuff effects on him, including Xiao Ye's Black Dragon pressure. Charles wanted to get up and counterattack or flee, but before he could get up from the ground, the Black Dragon pressure surged again, forcing him back to his knees. Lu Fan watched Charles struggle with interest, not forgetting to remind him. A skill that clears all debuffs. Not bad. However, my Black Dragon pressure is a persistent aura-type skill. Being able to clear the debuff effect once will not save you. Now that Jin Cheng'en is dead, no one can save you, right? Your points belong to me now. Lu Fan raised his sword again. Charles' eyes bulged. He was now in a hopeless situation where there was no hope of survival. Just as Lu Fan was about to bring down his burning meteor sword, Charles' entire body suddenly trembled. His face was filled with extreme pain. Then golden mist seeped out from his 7 pores and collected on top of his head. Lu Fan's eyes narrowed. As expected. At the last moment, the ancient god essence would try to find a way to escape. After all, condensing an ancient god essence, should not be an easy task. Otherwise, the entire Moore family would not only have Charles as their sacred mountain slave. Theoretically, Jin Cheng'en and Musashi Ten should also have ancient god essences. But with his death, his ancient god essence would have been destroyed. Lu Fan really wanted to obtain the ancient god essence, but other than forcing him to leave the sacred mountain slave's body on his own, he didn't really know how to obtain it. So, after killing Masashi Ten and Jin Chengen, those two ancient god essences were wasted, which made Lu Fan very sad. However, the ancient god essence in Charles' body played into Lu Fan's hands. In order to avoid being killed with Charles, it chose to reorganize itself in an attempt to escape. After escaping Charles' body, it turned into a golden light and flew rapidly in one direction. Without the ancient god essence, Charles' body began to rot and shrink, apparently about to become a dry corpse like Li Luo. Lu Fan first ignored the fleeing ancient god essence and quickly collected his points before Charles died. Immediately, Lu Fan's points surged again, successfully breaking through the 8 million mark. After killing Charles, Lu Fan looked at the fleeing ancient god essence. He must have sensed the powerful creatures beneath the clouds and wanted to seek them out, hoping to enter their bodies. However, when he reached the edge of the dragon domain, he hit an invisible wall with a vast bang and bounced back, completely unable to break through the skill barrier. Lu Fan was not afraid of ancient god essence escaping, because within the dragon domain, the space for movement was very limited. Also, once pulled into the dragon domain, there was no way to escape. The only way to escape was to kill Lu Fan and dispel the skill. So, after killing Charles with a single sword strike, Lu Fan calmly turned his attention to ancient god essence. At this time, ancient god essence hit an invisible wall, trying to find another way out, but was blocked by the barrier of skills, without exception. If Jin Chengen couldn't escape with the skill, how can you escape? You are something that only exists by connecting with others, yet you still expect to escape, Lu Fan said disdainfully, then flew towards ancient god essence. Ancient god essence, seeing Lu Fan approaching, wanted to have a final confrontation. It tried to fly into Lu Fan's body, wanting to turn him into a sacred mountain slave. However, how much trouble could a mere ancient god essence cause? Lu Fan stretched out his hand, activating his Dragon Claw skill, and his scaled Dragon Claw firmly grasped the ancient god essence. The ancient god essence emitted golden light, struggling desperately. However, it soon lost the strength to struggle further. Finally, its light dimmed, turning into a transparent yellow gem resembling a fallen corpse essence. Lu Fan took a look. Sacred Mountain Essence, special item and effect unknown. After killing Charles and his two companions, gaining over 1 million points, and making the fallen corpse Holy Dragon Kings complete another round of evolution, Lu Fan could say that he had achieved complete success in this national trial. Satisfied, Lu Fan asked Xiao Kui to take back his Dragon Domain skill, planning to count the points before finishing the national trial. Now, the top 5, except for Andre, were all dead. Lu Fan estimated that he must have gained at least 90% of all the points in existence. He estimated that the Dragon Country should get over 400 shares of resources. Lu Fan was quite satisfied with this result. Currently, staying in the national trial secret realm any longer would hardly result in more points. To save time, it was better to end this national trial as soon as possible. Meanwhile, in the observation room of Extremist Country, Lu Fan did not know that his Dragon Domain skill could also block the live broadcast of the observation room. So, after Jin Chengen and the others were pulled into the Dragon Domain, all contact with the observation room of Extremist Country was lost. Seeing Lu Fan so incredibly powerful, constantly suppressing Charles and the others, Jin Xian became extremely anxious. It became even worse when they lost signal and were no longer able to see what was happening. This caused him to pace back and forth in the observation room, his eyes never leaving the screen. However, before the signal recovered, the names of Jin Chengen, Masashi Ten, and Charles disappeared from the board one after another. Seeing this, Jin Zan was stunned. Silavin original title, further development. The fallen corpse of the Holy Dragon King? Could it be? Jin Chengen, Masashi Ten, and even Charles are dead. Although he knew that Lu Fan's displayed power was too ridiculous, so it was normal for the three, including Charles, To not be able to compete with him, Jin Xian knew about his nephew's professional attributes. His nephew would definitely make himself and the rest of the group immortal. His nephew had clearly placed the Abyss Summon in the National Trial Secret Realm at the very beginning, so even if he died, he should have been able to revive himself. Now, with Jin Cheng'an's name disappearing from the scoreboard panel, there could only be one explanation. Jin Cheng'an was really dead. In an instant, Jin Xian's face turned as pale as death, and he collapsed on the sofa. As the host for this event and the main representative of the extremist country, he would definitely be punished for Jin Cheng'an's death. Jin Cheng'an was the Jin family's future hope. Moreover, he was the #1 player among the younger generation of extremist country. That was the significance of his life. Moreover, with Jin Cheng'an's death, extremist country was completely out of the national trial. Extremist country had paid a great price to build this national trial secret area and had found ways to cooperate with Cherry Blossom country. It was all to recoup the costs and gain some benefits through their victory. And now out of 460 parts of resources, extremist country would get nothing. They had suffered a huge loss! The weight of so many failures at once made Jin Xian realize that even if he wasn't being sentenced to death by the family, he would probably never be able to hold any important position in extremist country again. He kept watching the live stream carefully, hoping for a miracle to happen. However, since Jin Cheng'an's name had disappeared from the scoreboard panel, no further response appeared on the observation room's display because clearly Jin Cheng'an was indeed dead. It's over. Jin Xian sighed, rubbing his face vigorously, wondering how to explain this to the Jin family and the extremist country. At this moment, the temperature in the observation room suddenly dropped dozens of degrees, making Jin Xian feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He shivered involuntarily. He was quite familiar with this feeling and was very shocked, turning to look behind him. Sure enough, a pitch black transportation array had appeared in the observation room at some point. This transportation array was different from the array created by the wizards. Its shape and form were irregular, as if space had been forcibly torn apart by a creature. Indeed, this was the case. Purple, red filaments that had not stopped twisting surrounded this transportation array. These tentacles were as thick as human arms, holding the transport array open while a middle-aged man dressed in black passed through it. This middle-aged man dressed in black had his face mostly covered. But from the exposed lower half of his face, one could see that he somewhat resembled both Jin Xian and Jin Cheng'an. "Brother." Jin Xian's voice trembled, his whole body shaking even more violently. He naturally knew this person. This was his elder brother, the royal family, the ruler of the Jin family, Jin Zexi. Years ago, when the 9 hell demons plagued the country of extremists, 5 fourth profession players joined forces to defeat them. Jin Zexi was one of these 5. Moreover, he was the most powerful of the 5. Jin Zexi looked at the static on the screen, and the temperature in the room dropped even further. "My son is dead." Jin Zexi's voice was hollow and terrifyingly calm. Jin Xian didn't dare to hide anything. Telling the truth made her break out in a cold sweat. "Is really dead? No wonder I suddenly felt uneasy before. So that's why." Jin Zexi spoke without much fluctuation, but the constantly dropping temperature showed that her mood was not good at all. "Who did it?" Jin Xian immediately replied, It was the Dragon Country representative, Lu Fan. This person is a dragon tamer. It seems he has more than one pet dragon. He must be very powerful. Not only the nephew, but also the representative of Cherry Blossom Country, Musashi Ten, and the representative of Star Stripe Country, Charles, died in his hands. As soon as Jin Zexi finished speaking, he suddenly felt his neck tighten. A purple-red filament emerged from Jin Zexi's black robe, wrapping around his neck. Jin Zexi clearly felt that if Jin Zexi wanted, he could easily break his neck right then and there. "Brother, let go of me." Jin Zexi felt he could barely breathe. Yet, he didn't dare to resist. He could only beg for mercy. Jin Zaixi's body was like a statue, completely still. He said, "The national trial is entirely your responsibility. Now that my beloved son is dead, and the extremist country has lost 20 parts of resources, your only explanation is that the representative of the dragon country is too powerful. No, I wouldn't dare." Jin Zian was in even more pain. Unable to catch his breath, his face now the color of pig's liver. The Jin family servants saw Jin Zian approaching death, but none of them dared to make a sound. Finally, just as Jin Zian began to roll his eyes back and almost choked to death, Jin Zaixi pulled back his tentacles. Jin Zian's body fell to the ground and he quickly gasped for air. Thank you! I must take revenge! Jin Zaixi's voice became even colder. Since the representative of the dragon country is so powerful, putting aside personal vengeance, we can't allow him to advance any further. I want you to find an opportunity for me. I'll join my 4 old friends. Just like we killed the 9 hell demons, we'll kill him too. Jin Zaixi trembled upon hearing this. These 5 heroes would join forces again after so many years. Jin Zaixi initially found this unbelievable, but thinking about Lu Fan's strength, he realized that ordinary 4th profession players were no match for him now. Therefore, it wasn't necessary for Jin Zaixi to unite with the other 4 to ambush Lu Fan. Not daring to say anything more, he quickly knelt down and declared, "I understand. I'll definitely tell people to keep a close eye on the Dragon Country representative. Once I have an opportunity, I'll inform you immediately." Jin Zaixi didn't react. He just slowly turned and stepped into the transport array, disappearing into nowhere. At the same time, all the tentacles around the transport array moved away, and the array disappeared completely. Meanwhile, Lu Fan had already stored the entire 9 Hell Demon army in the puppet subspace. He opened his mission panel to request to end the national trial. At the same time, all the surviving representatives chose to accept the request. Everyone's mission panel cleared, and the entire national trial secret area began to collapse, turning into light points gathering in different directions. Of course, most of these light points flew towards Lu Fan. These light points were the remaining energy of the secret area. Without any detailed explanation, Lu Fan thought, as he was already very familiar with this scene. Lu Fan asked Xiao Kui to summon 2 fallen corpse magic dragons. The 2 fallen corpse magic dragons looked alike, and Lu Fan couldn't tell which one ate fallen corpse essence last time, so he didn't bother to distinguish them and simply chose one to eat this sacred mountain essence. The overall process was the same as last time. Just this time, Xiao Kui and the fallen corpse magic dragons were experienced. They regained control of their consciousness very easily, then digested and absorbed the power of the sacred mountain essence. After absorbing it, the 2 fallen corpse magic dragons had physical changes again. Their bodies increased in size, and beneath their purple-black scales, a faint golden light was also seeping out. At the same time, the purple gas did not disappear. Apparently, the fallen corpse magic dragon retained the power of both fallen corpse essence and holy mountain essence. After one fallen corpse magic dragon completed its evolution, the other did the same. Finally, the 2 fallen corpse magic dragons fused together and evolved into a new dragon species. At this point, the size of the 2 fallen corpse magic dragons was almost no different from the pure-blood dragon King Xiao Yi. Even the pressure they emitted was no weaker than Xiao Ye's. Although Lu Fan had guessed it, he was still excited and opened the attribute panel to check the attributes of the 2 fallen corpse magic dragons. Sure enough, after absorbing the holy mountain essence, the attributes of the fallen corpse magic dragon had changed tremendously. His name changed from Fallen Corpse Magic Dragon to Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon King. His attributes had doubled, reaching 2/3 of Xiao Yi's attributes. Lu Fan estimated that even true pure blood giant dragons would easily surpass Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings in terms of attributes. Now, their attributes were slowly getting closer to real dragon kings like Xiao Ye. Perhaps, with another ancient god essence, Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings could evolve, maybe even catch up with people like Xiao Ye and Xing Chen? In addition to attributes, Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings also gained 2 new skills: Holy Light Radiance Passive LV1, Aura Type, an Aura Type skill focused on Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings. They will continuously emit Holy Light. Friendly units within the Holy Light will receive 30% attribute enhancement and continuous healing. Holy Light Gate's active skill, LV Maxed, removes the distance restriction between the summon and the summoner. The caster can open the Holy Light Gate at any time, transporting the summon to the summoner's location. These 2 skills were not powerful attack skills, but each was extremely useful. Holy Light Radiance was an aura-type skill that was practically divine for Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings with their army of Fallen Corpse puppets. With an army of 9 Hell Demons under Holy Light Radiance, receiving a 30% attribute boost and continuous healing, the army of 9 Hell Demons would be even more terrifying than when they ravaged Extremistus country. Originally, Lu Fan thought that with Xiao Ku's abilities, supporting the 9 Hell Demons or Demon Generals would be manageable. However, with so many fallen cores, with the police puppets under him, even if Xiao Kui was a pet dragon, he couldn't possibly provide assistance to all of them. With the Holy Light Radiance skill, this problem has been solved. Although Holy Light Radiance's enhancement buffs couldn't be compared to Xiao Kui's buffs, it had the advantage that it was an aura-type skill. As long as a Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon King was present, they would increase the power of all the Fallen Corpse puppets. Moreover, this skill was very comprehensive, enhancing both their attributes and healing. It was enough to ensure that the 9 Hells Demon Army could destroy a medium-sized country in the future. As for the Holy Light Gate skill, Lu Fan was even more pleased with it. In fact, given his ability to summon the entire 9 Hell Demon Army, the Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon King was already Lu Fan's strongest pet dragon in terms of overall combat power. After killing Charles and his 2 companions, gaining over 1 million points, and making the Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings complete another round of evolution, Lu Fan could say that he had achieved complete success in this national trial. Satisfied, Lu Fan asked Xiao Kuai to take back his Dragon Domain skill, planning to count the points before finishing the national trial. Now, the top 5, except for Andre, were all dead. Lu Fan estimated that he must have gained at least 90% of all the points in existence. He estimated that the Dragon Country should get over 400 shares of resources. Lu Fan was quite satisfied with this result. Currently, staying in the National Trial's secret realm any longer would hardly result in gaining more points. To save time, it was better to end this national trial as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Lu Fan had already stored the entire 9 Hell Demon Army in the puppet subspace. He opened his mission panel to request to end the national trial. At the same time, all the surviving representatives chose to accept the request. Everyone's mission panels were cleared, and the entire national trial secret area began to collapse, turning into light points gathering in different directions. Of course, most of these light points flew towards Lu Fan. These light points were the remaining energy of the secret area, which would collectively turn into rewards for the representatives. With Lu Fan's points being so high, his completion reward would naturally be the most abundant. His request was instantly accepted. Lu Fan couldn't help but smile. It seems that everyone in the secret area had wanted to end it for a long time. Just every time I chose to continue, which was why it hadn't ended. He guessed that many people must have cursed his 18 generations of ancestors for repeatedly refusing to finish the national trial. When Lu Fan thought about this, countless light points gathered in front of him, forming 3 spheres of light. Within these light spheres were clearly Lu Fan's secret realm completion rewards. Lu Fan was excited. This national trial's secret realm was the biggest secret realm he had ever participated in, and he had gained a lot of points. He wondered what rewards he would finally get. Lu Fan waved his hand, causing the first ball of light to dissipate. His eyes instantly lit up at what he saw inside. This was an equipment, and Lu Fan did not have a belt. More importantly, This belt was glowing with a light that Lu Fan had never seen before. The most high-grade equipment that Lu Fan had seen was the epic-grade staff, Heaven Incinerator, which was recorded at the prosperous Heaven Auction House. However, Lu Fan remembered very well that the light emitted by the epic-grade equipment was completely different from the light flickering on this belt in front of him. In other words, this belt was probably above epic grade, but he couldn't tell if it was mythical grade or not. Lu Fan became even more excited and quickly took the belt in his hand to look at it carefully. Immediately, the equipment's attributes panel appeared, causing Lu Fan to take a quick breath. Dragon Hunter's Will, Golden Dragon King Belts, Legendary Equipment Set, Level Requirement 90 Profession Requirement. Dragon Hunter, Silver Dragon Rider, Dragon Blood Warrior, Agility, Flatel 56, Strength, Assault 1248, Mind, plus 608, Endurance, plus 1667, additional skills. The Golden Dragon King's Shield, active skill, summons the Golden Dragon King's Shield for protection. As long as the shield remains, strength, agility and mana increase by 40%, endurance increases by 100%, Golden Dragon King Bloodline release, active skill, the LV win, releases the Dragon Hunter's Will remaining in the equipment. After storing it, Lu Fan dispersed another sphere of light, revealing a skill book. Lu Fan picked it up to look at it. Profession Skill Book, Dragon Language Replication, Profession Requirement, Dragon Tamer, Dragon Language Mage, Level Requirement, 40 Description after use. Learn the Dragon Language Replication skill, Dragon Language Replication. Pet dragons can replicate active skills and use them. Although the description of the skill was simple, Lu Fan was very happy to see this skill book. This skill book combined with Dragon Language Resonance will be a perfect match! Lu Fan no longer needed to rack his brain looking for a Dragon Language Magic skill book. Now, with this skill book, all such problems were solved. In the future, when Xiao Ye, Jing Chen, and other combat specialized dragons use their skills, Lu Fan can directly copy them and release them together to easily trigger the Dragon Language Resonance effect. This skill book was exactly what Lu Fan needed. It was also the perfect time as Lu Fan's level was high enough to use it, so he used the skill book directly. After finding out, Lu Fan eagerly revealed the secret of the third reward. It was a pouch that was almost the size of a human head. This was the first time Lu Fan saw such a reward, so he was quite surprised to see it. He immediately picked it up to take a look. Lucky Scroll Bag, Legendary Grade Special Item Description. Upon opening it, get a certain number of reward scrolls. Wow, there's actually a thing called Lucky Bag in this world. Lu Fan couldn't help but laugh. However, after thinking for a moment, he decided to open the Lucky Scroll Bag to see what he could get from it. These days, Lu Fan found treasure maps every day, but most were low-grade treasure maps, and their locations were spread far and wide. This made it impossible for Lu Fan to obtain them. In terms of obtaining treasure maps, Lu Fan had been unlucky for so long. Now that he was opening a lucky bag, his luck should turn around, right? Lu Fan decided to open the lucky bag. After opening it, it instantly disappeared, and several scrolls came out from inside it. Lu Fan initially thought he would only get one scroll from the lucky scroll bag. He never expected that when the lucky bag disappeared, 3 scrolls would appear. Lu Fan picked them up one by one and examined them. He was delighted to see that they were a no-level requirement enchantment scroll, a pet sub-space expansion scroll, and an equipment grade enhancement scroll. The first 2 scrolls were exactly what Lu Fan desperately needed, and he couldn't believe that one lucky bag had produced all of them. Speaking of the equipment grade enhancement scroll, this one was equally extraordinary. Equipment grade enhancement scroll, diamond grade special item, description after use, can increase the level and grade of equipment. It cannot be used on equipment above diamond grade. Lu Fan had many good equipment, such as the Crimson Cloak of Flame and Frost and his Flaming Meteor Sword. However, after thinking about which equipment would be most suitable for using this equipment grade enhancement scroll, Lu Fan decided to choose the Flaming Meteor Sword. The Flaming Meteor Sword was a platinum grade weapon. After using the scroll, it would become diamond grade, maximizing the scroll's effectiveness without waste. Most importantly, the flaming meteor sword was the weapon Lu Fan found most comfortable to use. He didn't want to change it just because he was leveling up. After all, powerful attributes were one thing, but comfort in use was another. These two factors were important considerations in weighing how equipment improves a player's strength. If both could be achieved, it was naturally the best. So, after just a little thought, Lu Fan used the equipment-grade enhancement scroll on the flaming meteor sword. As the scroll turned into a golden light and entered the flaming meteor sword, the weapon burst out with a dazzling glow. It eventually evolved into a level 40 diamond-grade weapon. Its attributes increased to nearly 300, and when using fire skills, its attack power increased by 60%, making it a whole level more powerful than before. Lu Fan held the flaming meteor sword, and felt even more at ease than before. Lu Fan put the flaming meteor sword away and took out the no-level requirement enchantment scroll. This time, the equipment that Lu Fan wanted to enchant was naturally the legendary grade item he had just obtained, Dragon Hunter's Wish, Golden Dragon King Belt. As soon as the no-level requirement enchantment scroll took effect, this heaven-defying mythical grade item no longer had any level requirement. Lu Fan excitedly equipped it and immediately felt a unique power flow from the belt into his body. Lu Fan could also see a faint golden light flowing in his blood, presumably due to the effect of the remaining will of the Golden Dragon King, supreme shield in the belt. After equipping this mythical grade item, not only did Lu Fan receive a huge attribute increase, but he could also now activate the Golden Dragon King Bloodline release skill to transform into the Golden Dragon King. From now on, Lu Fan would be both a Silver Dragon Rider and partially a Dragon Hunter. Technically, by combining Dragon Language Replication and Dragon Language Resonance, Lu Fan was equivalent to being partially a Dragon Spellcaster. This wave of perfection rewards brought a world-changing level of increase to Lu Fan's power. Of course, the biggest increase would come from the final scroll, the Pet Subspace Expansion Scroll. After using this scroll, Lu Fan would be able to hatch the Blue Dragon King, Wrath of the Storm. This was the pet dragon he had been thinking about, and his pet dragon dream team would finally welcome their 6th pet dragon. However, after some thought, Lu Fan did not hatch it right away. After all, Zhao Shengming and Elder Han would be watching him from the observation room right now. Although these two probably wouldn't do him any harm, when it comes to trump cards, the less people know about them, the better. Also, he was in no hurry. He could wait until he was alone to take out the Blue Dragon King. After collecting all the rewards, the National Trial's secret realm was about to disappear completely. Lu Fan felt a pull in his body. As he was being teleported, the last of the secret realm's energy turned into experience points that flowed into him. Because of the final experience point reward from the National Trial, he and his pet dragon's levels all increased by 1 simultaneously. At this point, Lu Fan had leveled up from level 34 to level 42. This was an incredibly terrifying level-up speed. Lu Fan was instantly teleported back to the arena, right where the secret realm entrance was. At this time, the secret realm entrance was collapsing, and within 100 meters of Lu Fan, 3 other people also emerged from the National Trial. Real secret realm. Among the 3 was Andre, whom Lu Fan knew, and 2 others who were representatives classified as T4. They were not particularly strong, and probably had not gained that many points. However, these 2 looked extremely happy. After all, since they had survived and left the secret realm, they ranked 3rd and 4th respectively. Although their points were low, their rankings were high. Although they were in 2nd and last in points, if one looked at it positively, they were in 3rd and 4th place. For their countries, which lacked resources, this was already an unprecedented achievement. Being able to come out of the National Trial alive and receive secret realm rewards was already a huge win for them. Naturally, the 2 representatives could not stop smiling. Lu Fan and Andre were both checking to see how many country representatives had survived this year, and they naturally exchanged glances. Andrai laughed openly and waved at Lu Fan, seeming to suggest they should have a drink together after finishing up here. Lu Fan smiled and nodded in agreement. At this time, Elder Han, Zhao Shengming, and a few other Dragon Country delegates came out walking from the direction of the observation room toward Lu Fan. "Ha! Welcome back! This is our Dragon Country's hero's triumphant return." Elder Han was beaming, clearly beyond merely satisfied with Lu Fan's performance. He personally extended his hand to shake Lu Fan's, then patted Lu Fan's shoulder, praising, "Congratulations on winning first place in this year's national trial! You've won the most resources in history for Dragon Country." Zhao Shengming also wore a broad smile, speaking from the side. "Lu Fan, your performance these past 2 weeks has been truly outstanding. Many times your displayed power even astonished Elder Han. We originally thought getting into the top 3 would already be a great victory. We never expected you to give us so many pleasant surprises. Not only did you get first place, but you achieved it with absolute dominance." Lu Fan scratched his head and chuckled. "Vice Principal Zhao, Elder Han, you're too kind. Speaking of which, how much of the total points did I get in this national trial? Out of the 460 portions of resources, how many will Dragon Country receive?" And Elder Han smiled and exchanged glances with Zhao Shengming. About to speak when Jin Zion appeared with staff members from Extremistis Country coming up to the platform. Lu Fan could see that Jin Zion's expression was far from good. After all, with Jin Cheng'an dead, their Extremistis Country had suffered a crushing loss in this year's national trial's secret realm. Even so, as the host in this political event, Jin Zion could not shirk from his responsibilities just because Jin Cheng'an had died. They still had to properly conclude the national trial. After ascending the platform, Jin Zion cleared his throat and formally began to speak. "This year's national trial has now come to its end. Congratulations to the representatives who survived the secret realm. Your efforts during this time will win the corresponding resources for your respective countries. In particular, congratulations to this year's absolute winner, the Dragon Country representative, Lu Fan." Toward the end, Jin Zion could clearly barely suppress his rage. However, the more angry he was, the more satisfied Lu Fan felt. Lu Fan looked around and saw only a few countries' delegates had remained. It was clear those eliminated countries' teams had already returned to their hotels to rest. They were just waiting for the national trial to completely end to sign over the ownership documents of the resources before returning home. Once their representatives were eliminated, not many delegates wanted to continue waiting around here. Lu Fan could only see those from Cherry Blossom Country glaring at him. As for those from Star Strip Country, they had already left, even though Charles had just died. At this time, Jin Zion continued. "The results of this year's national trial are as follows. Ranked first this year is Dragon Country's representative, Lu Fan, with a total of 8,136, 572 points. This accounts for 91.8% of the total points. Ranked second is Feather Country's representative, Andre, 431.94 points, accounting for 6% of total points. Ranked third is... The remaining 2 people had only around 100,000 points each. Not only could they not compare to Lu Fan, they were far behind Andre as well. There was nothing to be done about this. The 2 surviving until now was partly due to luck, and partly because they knew their strength was insufficient. Once they encountered other countries' representatives, they would certainly be killed. So, these 2 had been very cautious. They had managed to survive by being extremely careful. As a result, they had not gained that many points, with each person accounting for less than 2% of the total points. Even so, surviving through this ordeal was good enough for them. Although Lu Fan knew he was first while in the secret realm, he had no idea of the specific details of the whole scoreboard. When he learned that he accounted for 91.8% of the total points, he was relieved. This result perfectly met his expectations. By this calculation, he could help Dragon Country obtain 419 portions of resources. Dragon Country had absolutely profited enormously from this. It was no wonder Elder Han was beaming. Since the establishment of the national trial until now, Dragon Country had never won so many resources before. After announcing the results, Jin Zion suppressed his displeasure and asked each country's main delegates to come to the hotel conference room tonight to prepare for the signing over of resources. After signing the agreement tonight, early tomorrow morning, each group would be arranged special flights to leave extremistis country. After saying this, Jin Zion announced this year's national trial had successfully concluded, then bowed and left the stage. Even someone as experienced and stoic as Elder Han could not stop smiling for a long time. He laughed and turned to Lu Fan, saying, "You performed so well in this national trial. I've decided you should receive a special reward. A few weeks back in the far north, didn't you get a Griffin Legion medal? Can you take it out and show it to me?" Lu Fan nodded and took the medal out from his inventory. Elder Han took the medal, then narrowed his eyes. He was clearly infusing military merits into Lu Fan's medal. The national trial counted as bringing glory to the country. It was reasonable for Lu Fan, who had a medal, to be granted military merits. However, what Lu Fan never expected was that after Elder Han granted him military merits, the medal actually changed from silver to gold. It was now a gold wing medal. This scene shocked Zhou Shengming. Zhou Shengming understood well what this medal represented. This was a Griffin Legion medal. Even those with ordinary Iron Wing medals were highly regarded. After all, these medals represented one of the 4 ace military units, the Griffin Legion. They represented Tu Jing's prestige. Once could say that someone holding an Iron Wing medal would be received with high regard anywhere, with authority no less than that of a special envoy. After all, among all the people in Dragon Country, those who could possess a Griffin Legion medal numbered only in the thousands. If even an Iron Wing medal received such treatment, who could have imagined that Lu Fan would directly pull out a silver wing medal? Zhou Shengming did know that Lu Fan had gone to the far north and had been there for some time. What he did not know was Tu Jing giving him a Griffin Legion medal and refusing to take it back, leaving it for Lu Fan to keep. Even so, one short month and Lu Fan had already received a silver wing medal. He must have done something earth-shattering in the far north to get enough military merits to upgrade it in such a short span of time. Even though not from the military, Zhou Shengming knew that those who could hold silver wing medals numbered less than 100 in the Griffin Legion. Out of these 100 people, which one of them had not followed Tu Jing for nearly 10 years to accumulate that much military merit. Yet, Lu Fan had just casually achieved this in a month. A silver wing medal was one thing, but after Elder Han gave Lu Fan military merits, the silver wing medal actually upgraded to gold wing, an 18-year-old gold wing medal holder. This was simply unheard of. Under Tu Jing's command, there were previously only 9 people who held gold wing medals. These 9 people's current status was comparable to Dragon Country's guardian generals. Lu Fan was just a student who had entered Dragon Capital University for barely half a year, yet he has already received such honors. This was simply unprecedented. If news of this spreads, it would shock the whole Dragon Country. Seeing the medal transform into a gold wing medal, even Elder Han could not help but show surprise on his face. "You've gained so much military merit in the far north." After giving you the military merits from this national trial, your silver wing medal had even turned into a gold wing medal, my boy. You've really given me too many pleasant surprises. Too many for a lifetime. Saying this, Elder Han smiled and returned the medal to Lu Fan. Although Lu Fan knew gold wing medals were extraordinary, he did not know exactly what benefits holding a gold wing medal would bring. Thus, he asked additional questions about what use this medal had. This question made Elder Han laugh. After thinking for a moment, he said, "With this medal, even city lords must follow your orders. In all of Dragon Country, only 4 people can command you. Besides the 3 Dragon Country elders, including myself and Tu Jing, You can consider anyone else either your equal or half a rank below you. A's for resource allocation and the privilege to act first and report later, that goes without saying. Let me give an example. Earlier you had some private grudge with Ruan Changfeng, right? Before Ruan Changfeng was demoted 3 ranks, he held considerable power and authority in Dragon Capital. But with you holding this medal, if you ordered him to kneel, he would not dare have any objections. The Gold Wing medal possessed such terrifying authority that even Lu Fan was shocked. City lords were actually 1 rank higher than high-ranking officials. Even so, such powerful figures now had to follow his instructions. This authority was simply unimaginable. Even Qin Shanhai, a city lord, was probably not worth mentioning before Lu Fan anymore. Even Ruan Changfeng, whose previous grudges against him had given Lu Fan quite a headache, was no longer an issue. Now that he had a Gold Wing medal, just showing it would make Ruan Changfeng come begging for his mercy. This Gold Wing medal is truly prestigious. Lu Fan was satisfied as he put away the Gold Wing medal and thanked Elder Han. Elder Han nodded and sincerely said, "What's there to thank? These are all things you deserve. Tu Jing and I have never been unfair. The military merits given to you are exactly what you earned. Nothing more, nothing less. My boy, you've obtained all of this through your own ability. If you need to thank anyone, thank yourself for making such contributions to Dragon Country." For Lu Fan thought this to be true. Whether it was exploring the far north, discovering the ancient god's secrets, or securing over 400 resources for Dragon Country, none of these were things an ordinary person could achieve. Becoming a Gold Wing medal holder was both luck and his own ability. Regardless, his military merits were absolutely real. Elder Han did not waste much more of Lu Fan's time. After giving him the military merits, he said, "All right, you must be tired after being in the National Trial's secret realm for so long. Go back to the hotel and rest. We can return to Dragon Country early tomorrow morning." "Oh, right, after you get back, I'll have someone send you a list of betting resources to carefully look over." Lu Fan was confused. "Why do I need to look at the list of wagers? Isn't choosing which resources your job, Elder Han?" Elder Han smiled, while Zhao Shengming beside him said with a laugh, "Isn't Elder Han's meaning obvious? He's letting you pick whatever resources you want from the list as a reward from the country?" "That's my reward!" Lu Fan was immediately delighted upon hearing this. Elder Han nodded and said, "Generally speaking, if our Dragon Country representatives achieve excellent results, the country will naturally need to reward them. The 1 resources can be selected by the representatives first. If you choose a dungeon instance, it will be temporarily closed to others, letting you clear it till you are bored. If you choose mining deposits, you can send people to mine them, with all profits belonging to you until you are willing to give it up and return it back to the country. Look, with your outstanding performance this year, this basic amount is what you deserve. I'll send you the list later. You can pick out 10 and the country will reward them to you for your own personal use. Once again, these will not be open to the public and will be for your own personal use until you wish to return them."